But you're here in the manifest world. I mean, here you are, physical.
If you say so.
You seem to be pretty
In
physically.
your world, yeah.
In my reality, yes. So is there anything that you want?
Yeah, my only remaining desire is naturally to be of service, and it doesn't even feel like a choice. It's just like I was saying. I described this difference between a personal consciousness, a shepherding consciousness, and finally a mirroring consciousness. So the sage, if you will.
Go through that.
Yeah. So the personal consciousness.
Yes.
The majority of people are identified with and express themselves as
Me,
what
my story, and my history.
Yes, and it's very much about me, and it's very much surrounding me. It's like a bubble around your head. Like literally, I see bubbles around people's heads.
Do you see that now?
I see that.
Do you
Yeah.
have a
Not
bubble?
not physically.
But sensing.
Well, everyone has a bubble.
Like a story bubble, like a little.
Like the bubble of the assumption of who they believe and feel they are that is uninvestigated. Every time you turn back inwards and ask yourself, who am I really? And you distill, you do that alchemy process, you pop that bubble and you enter a truer bubble, and it becomes thinner and thinner. That veil that seems to separate you from God or the absolute it thins out every time you do this investigation. So it's literally a process of emptying out. So people go, when they do this process of self-realization or self-inquiry, they go from a personal consciousness to what I call a shepherding consciousness, which is has a fairly wide range. I would say fourth through sixth, late sixth density is a shepherding consciousness.
And how does that matter? How do you work with that? Yeah.
Shepherding consciousness, my definition of that would be where it's no longer just about you. And it depends on which level we're talking to, but at some point you realize that the spiritual journey, it's not just about you. And in fact, to make more progress faster, you now need to include service to others. That is what will polarize you quicker, accelerate you quicker, charge you up quicker, make you realize quicker. So as we begin to really embrace the fact that we are the collective and we're not just one physical body, we are the all, our priorities start shifting, our desires start shifting. And this is when we become a shepherding consciousness, when the majority of our focus is no longer about what can I get, what can I maintain, what I can secure for myself. It's no longer fear-driven, it's love-driven and service to others-driven. That's that shepherding consciousness. Now the shepherd at a certain stage can tap into an even more profound freedom or emptiness of self, which will result in what I call mirroring consciousness. At that point, it's like there's no one driving the bus. It's like you're completely empty, and what you call the body and the mind sort of appears on the periphery of your sense of awareness, but it's hard, you can't call it real. It's extremely dreamlike. It's empty of anything that you want.
Do you live in this state?
Correct.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. And so what then happens is that your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, they become mirrors. And so naturally, they detect benefit with clear intelligence. And this can look like anything. Yeah. To an ordinary person, I may look like an asshole sometimes in the way that I express myself. But that is driven by an intelligence that there is no I to argue with that. It is super precise. It's incredible. I wish I could put it on film for people to see how this operates, but it's very difficult to do. It would have to be able to track what's going on within the vehicles or the bodies, simultaneously what is happening outside and what the calling is and the vibrations of others. And
we should do an animation of that with the multiple screens.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so that consciousness is just totally non-personal at all.
Yes. And so from that state, I say to you that I don't want anything. The only thing that remains is a natural service to others, no matter what that takes, no matter what that looks like.
But as a service of that, you've incarnated into this form for a particular purpose, in a sense.
Yeah. There's a few particular purposes.
What would you say? I'm just curious.
One is very potently to be of service to others, to distill some of the main traditions and the key teachings into ways that people will be able to relate to and understand. It is to model a certain degree of paradox and rebellion and purity at the same time. I posted this picture the other day of
You with some Playboy bunnies.
yeah,
That one?
these two actually.
Oh, there were those.
Yeah. So that, it was my Halloween outfit, and of course I know people are gonna,
You say, yeah, you've objectified women.
objectify women,
and-
and you shouldn't endorse Hugh Hefner, and like he abused people, and
That's-
and then other posts of mine are speaking to the purity of all of existence and how my only purpose is to love on all people.
So what do you say to people say, oh, you're just, doing the same thing all those guys have done to women? I mean, how do you respond?
It depends on what arises. Like depends on what the mirror shows. Sometimes I go into it. Sometimes I don't go into it.
Right.
It depends. Sometimes I'm nice. Sometimes I'm rude. But you'll see that people will project onto me that I have certain feelings and emotions and triggers and desires. So it's interesting and it's no longer even interesting. But it used to be a fascinating journey to really to see the remnants of where I still care about that. And to have gotten out of that, and now it's just natural and fun and beneficial.
Yeah. So they're projecting all their stuff onto whatever it is.
It's for a lot of people, it's just really not possible at this stage to understand the state I come from, and so it makes sense that if you look in a mirror, you see yourself. But when you see yourself and it looks like my body, then obviously you think it's me, not you, just because this is my body, and I do what I do, but it's happening in your world. And so it's an interesting state to live as a mirror, because things don't apply to you in the same way.
But you do have fun, I mean, as a individuated consciousness.
Only when it's beneficial, yeah.
But you go out, I mean, you hang out, you have friends. I mean,
Which again is part and parcel of the example of being a balanced, or like a mismatch almost, but a balance of paradox, so that people can't pin these teachings down to the traditional path of this is what it looks like, purity, loincloth, or vegetarian, or it looks like rebellion and like grossness and physicality. But to have a blend of all these in my expression, even that's not for me. Even fun is not for me.
Fun is not for you.
No, it's for the collective. So whatever I model, whatever I show is because that animates through me, and I honor that by... Even to say I honor it would imply that I can either honor it or not honor it.
There's an I to, yeah.
Yes, so, but it's very rare for me to have that sort of me feeling arise and control what's happening. It's very rare at this stage.
Yeah, but you're in the world too. I mean,
I'm in people's worlds.
Yeah, but you're in your world. I mean, when you're by yourself in your own sense of beingness,
yes.
Does nothing arise, or I mean, on the outside world, they may not influence you, but just curious, what arises in that state?
In that state itself, nothing arises, but on the periphery, what arises is whatever is next, whatever is relevant, whatever needs to be accomplished or created. It could be me writing a post, it could be me becoming aware of like a really subtle energy dynamic or a paradox. It could be me being aware of a parallel reality. It could be me interacting with someone close to me. It could be me just being completely silent and no processes are happening whatsoever. There's just absolute bliss.
But isn't absolute bliss? But isn't beyond that even there's like a feeling, like a sense of not even compassion, but joyful identification that comes through the embodiment.
I'll have bouts of weirdness or silliness. You know, one moment I can be like completely like seemingly non-existent, like there's just this field of infinity, and there's no person. And then suddenly, for whatever reason, usually if I'm with other people though, which again is because of that reflective thing, but I'll be like an energy will come through the body and it will animate it, or like I'll be super silly for like an hour, or like I'll start like having Tourette's or something like that, you know. So there is weird,
one of those things.
Yeah, there is weird things that happen.
Yeah,
like playful things. There's playfulness.
Yeah,
as a part of the expression. Yes.